it's Shannon and welcome to my channel, The Daily DIYer. I hope you all are having an amazing day today and are ready to get creative because we're going to be working with these garden fence pieces from Dollar Tree to create 5 really quick and easy home decor pieces for inside or outside your home. I have so much fun working with these garden fence pieces. They look a lot like real wrought iron, but they're really simple to cut, and I'm going to show you how to do that in today's tutorial. I also want to thank the Original Super Glue for sponsoring today's video. And you can see my very first project here behind me on the wall. It is a decorative hook piece that only cost about $2 or $3 to create. So let's go ahead and jump right into this first DIY.
If you're excited about this project, give this video a thumbs up. I'm excited to share it with you. Of course, you're going to need a garden fence piece, one of these white wall mount wire racks, 2 wood rulers or paint stir sticks. We're going to be cutting this down using our miter shears, which I will talk a little bit more about as we get to it. And to piece it all together, we're going to be using our Super Unix by the Original Super Glue. This stuff is amazing. You can find it at Hobby Lobby along with other stores, and I'll put more information about it down in the description box below. But it is a gel type super glue that works on all materials. It's going to be perfect for this project. We're starting by cutting off the feet of our garden fence piece along with those side attachment pieces. And here you'll see me using my miter shears to cut all those plastic pieces off. These are amazing to have around. They cut through dowel rods and thin plastic and thin wood, and also trim pieces if you're going to be doing any DIYs around the house. These just come in handy for so many different things. You can find them on Amazon, and I'll make sure to link these down in the description box below. And now I wanted my hooks to really mimic the look of my garden piece, so I'm using black chalk paint to cover up all of the white. So originally I wanted to use these wooden rulers from Dollar Tree. I took the stickers off of the front and then realized I didn't have any spackle out in the she shed with me, and those holes kind of became a problem. So I decided to swap those out for paint stir sticks that did not have the holes in them. And they were a little bit too long, so I marked off the ends and cut them down with my handsaw and miter box so they would fit along the front of the garden trim piece. Now I absolutely adore the wood and metal combination, so I decided to take some brown acrylic paint and paint out my paint stir sticks to give them a stained wood look. Now to put this all together, I wanted to make sure my hooks were going to hold anything that I put on them, so I am using my smaller zip ties around the metal piece of the hooks and then onto the fronts of the plastic garden piece. And I used 4, basically 1 on each end and 2 in the middle, and that is going to secure these pieces all together. But then to add the decorative piece onto the front, I'm using my Super Unix by the Original Super Glue. I added the super glue onto the plastic on the front and then just sat my wood trim pieces right on top of it. This is wonderful material because it will grab on and secure this. So good for us. I'm just putting a generous amount across the front and then putting those trim pieces right on top, and basically it just takes about a minute for it to set up and it is good to go. I love the way this turned out. I just added a few little decorative pieces onto it, like this wreath, mason jar, and beaded garland, but I would love to hear your ideas of what you would display on it and where you would put it in your home. So leave those down in the comments below. Decorative metal art pieces are really popular too, but can be pretty pricey, so I'm going to share with you how to make your own while staying on a budget using the garden pieces from Dollar Tree along with their extra long barbecue skewers. And you're again going to need your miter shears, which again I will have linked down in the description box. We're going to be using these to cut quite a bit off of these garden pieces, starting with cutting off the feet and those side connector pieces first again. Now we need to cut these pieces into 4 different sections. You can see there are archways at the top. We're going to cut straight down the center of where they are connected, and that will give us 4 separate pieces total. We're only going to need 3 of these. Now you're going to take one of those sections and we are going to do a lot of chopping here. We're going to cut the archway off the top. We're also going to cut out that middle spear, and then we're going to come down to the bottom and we're going to cut the connector piece apart. We're also going to clean up the bottom and kind of give it that curved look so that it mimics what it looks like on the top, so it has that scrolly effect. Now we need to cut down our barbecue skewers. We're going to cut them in half. I believe these were 32 inches long, so I cut mine to 16 inches long. You'll see I'm using my miter shears for this. Again, these come in super handy, like I said. Now I want these to blend in with our garden trim pieces, so I'm painting the skewers with black chalk paint. So here's a look at all the pieces that you should have. Add 1 more barbecue skewer to this though and have 3 total. We're going to be using our Super Unix to help piece this together along with some zip ties. So here is a basic layout of how you want to arrange these. Make sure you flip them upside down. We're going to be working on the backs, and your smaller piece is going to go in the middle so that you have 1 long piece. I'm adding my Super Unix up the center of the pieces and putting one of those barbecue skewers along there, and that is our starting point. And we're going to add some zip ties in here as well, and make sure that our barbecue skewer stays tightly in place. That way when we go to hang up our decorative piece, that it's not going to all come apart. Our Super Unix is definitely going to play a big part in keeping this all together as well. Once I had the center all secured, I just added 2 more barbecue skewers, 1 on each side, in the same way using my Super Unix along the sides and then using zip ties at each point to secure it into place. I thought these looked so cute that I ended up making a second one and displaying them on either side of my fireplace. I may even make something a little bit more scrolly to add to the top of the firebox, but these would be cute on either side of a photo or even a window. This is a fun way to create sort of a springy type decorative architectural piece. I'm starting with a handmade wood box. I'm pretty sure I have a tutorial on this. If I can find it, I will put it up in the iCards and down in the description box. It's a simple beginner build project, and I just added some foam to the inside of it, and that's kind of going to help secure our fence piece in place. I didn't have quite enough foam. These are all from Dollar Tree too on hand, so I took what I did have and I glued them end to end, and then I used some tissue paper and stuffed those into the ends. That way it would kind of help hold the styrofoam in place, and it will also kind of act as a filler so I wouldn't have to use so much moss. So that's kind of our next step, is to add some green moss, which is from Dollar Tree, to cover up the foam and the tissue paper. And then what I did is actually cut my feet of my garden piece down just a little bit. It was a little bit too long and poked up a little bit too high, so I cut those feet down and then just stuck them right into the styrofoam and got an instant pretty decorative spring piece. You could also add some Easter eggs in here. I think that would be super cute for Easter time too. They also make really cute decorative accent pieces, and I'm going to show you how to make the most simple, basic, and easy sconces using 1x8s. You'll need 2 at 12 inches long and 2 at 7¼ inches long. I went ahead and sanded these down, and I'm going to give them a weathered wood finish, starting by giving all of them a coat of gray chalk paint. Now I'm going to go ahead and distress these using some white chalk paint and my foam paintbrush, and just very generously dry brushing on the paint around the edges and on the tops. Next, I cut out 2 of the archways, 1 for each sconce. Now to put our wood pieces together, I am flipping the larger one over to the back, measuring up and over equal distances on both sides, and pre-drilling holes through the front. Then on the back, I did the same thing and marked over and right in the center and pre-drilled holes. This is going to prevent any type of splitting of the wood. I went ahead and partially put the screws through the back so the points were sticking out the front, and then attached the smaller piece onto the front and then tightened those screws up. And basically that just created a shelf right on the front of the wood boards and creates a really pretty sconce. And then here I'm using some hot glue to attach that trim piece onto the front, but you could also use your Super Unix here and get a much better and much more permanent bond by using that instead. And then I just paired it with 2 votive candle holders from Dollar Tree that I wrapped in some of their burlap ribbon and tucked a few lamb's ear greenery pieces around the sides. The next project is one of my absolute favorites from last year and wanted to throw it in here in case you had never seen it before. It is a trellis piece and you're only going to need 2 garden fence pieces. The first one we're going to cut down and leave those arches on, but you want to take the feet and the side pieces off again. The next one we're actually going to cut the arches off, and we're also going to cut off those points in the middle, kind of similar to one of the projects we just finished creating earlier in this video. And we're making 2 scrolly pieces that are going to go on the top. Now I did end up cutting those points off the top, so kind of ignore those. And then I wanted to show you the basic layout of how this is going to get pieced together. At the bottom, I have a 1x12 that is 18 inches long. You're going to put 2 sets of those archways, and then we're going to put those scrolly pieces above it. To attach all of these together, I'm going to be using 1 1/4 inch lattice, and you can get this for about 60 cents a foot at the hardware store. I ended up using about 11 feet total of trim if you're going to go that route, but another alternative I thought would be kind of easy to do is even use yardsticks. You would probably need several and you'd have to piece them together, kind of like I'm doing here. I had scrap trim pieces, so I had to do the same kind of process with piecing it all together. So I really think yardsticks would probably work just as well for this as well. So what I did here is I laid a trim piece up at the top and then measured down to kind of gauge how long my side pieces needed to be, and used a handsaw and miter box to cut these pieces down to size. And then I worked on the bottom trim pieces and then the top trim piece as well. And then I kind of give you a overall look of all of the pieces laid out and kind of where they're going to go. Now to put this all together, I am using mounting tape that is by the original super glue. This is permanent heavy duty, pretty much double-sided tape, but it's a clear type of material. And all I did was put it on the back side of the trim and pressed it down into place. Once you press it down, it is not going anywhere. Like I said, it is super duty, so it's going to stay where you put it. It's going to be really, really difficult if you can even take it off and reposition it. So make sure that when you put your pieces down, you have them exactly where you want them. And so I'm just basically building the bottom of this and the sides of this. I also use the mounting tape on the back of the trim pieces to attach it to the back side of this trellis too, because this stuff works on all materials as well. And before I add those decorative pieces to the back, I wanted to give it a stained wood look. So I'm using my traditional burnt umber acrylic paint and just painting the entire wood piece with the same color. And then, like I said, I'm just using my original super glue mounting tape strips to attach those plastic pieces onto the back side of the wood. The cool thing about these strips is you can cut them down even smaller. That kind of saves you some material, so you only use what you actually need. And then also it kind of makes it easier so you can hide that adhesive behind those wood strips. Also, don't forget to check the description box below to links that I'll have for more information on the Super Unix and also this mounting tape. Then once I flipped this over, I decided to add one more strip of wood trim onto the front to kind of define the top and bottom sections. I would love to know down in the comments below which one of these 5 garden trim hacks was your favorite. I would also love for you to take a second and give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'll have more inspirational DIYs popping up on your screen that you can check out next. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one. Happy crafting!